It's time for Michael Morales Torres and Lucha Libre Online.
Saludos a toda la afición de la lucha libre. Este que les habla es Michael Morales Torres, integrante del equipo de Lucha Libre Online. Y tenemos el enorme privilegio de presentarles en la tarde de hoy a una de las figuras más controversiales en la historia de la industria de la lucha libre, ex jefe creativo de WWE, ex jefe creativo de WCW y ex jefe creativo de TNA, el creador del Russo brand, señoras y señores, de Long Island, New York, para el mundo. Vince Russo llega aquí a Lucha Libre Online. Mr. Russo, it is an honor for us to have you as our guest. How are you doing today?
I am doing okay, Michael. That was some energetic intro, bro. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you so much for your feedback. And I wanted to start this interview asking you, you know, every career has a humble beginning, but Vince Russo should immediately to the top. It was like, and many people go through the independent circuit, go through a transition and so on and so on. But Vince Russo went directly to the top. So my question for you is, how did you got your first job with WWF?
Well, it wasn't, Michael, it wasn't immediately to the top like some people might think. I started off as a freelance writer for the WWF magazine in it must have been like 1994. Then I was hired as the editor of the magazine. Then as I was doing the magazine, I started doing more and more work for the TV side of it. So I was really being taught the ropes, and I was really being taught, the different parts of the company by Vince. So it wasn't like a quick meteoric rise. I mean, I really did spend a couple of years getting my feet wet.
I'll translate that to Spanish. Vince Russo no llegó al tope como muchas personas pensaron así de la noche a la mañana. Todo tiene un inicio y en los 90 mediados tiene su primera oportunidad como editor de la revista de WWF Magazine. Posteriormente pasa a ser el jefe o el editor principal de la revista y eventualmente llega al lado creativo y a trabajar más cosas para la televisión, pero siempre del lado de la revista. You were a pretty particular person inside the Monday Night Wars, because most of the things we saw during the attitude era and all that process that WWE, they blossomed their programming and they changed everything. It was, because of you. So bases full, 9-inning. Vince Russo is over there ready to bat. They pitched. And how did you manage to hit that home run, creatively speaking, about the ideas you produced for WWF?
Bro, it was really simple, Michael. It wasn't really that difficult. When I started writing, I just think that WWE at the time was way behind the times. I mean, they were doing very traditional 1970, 1980 wrestling, and society was really changing. So my whole philosophy was we need to mirror society in 1997. That's what we need to do. We need to bring this product up to speed. And that's really what we did, man. We brought a wrestling product that was very old and very stale into the time. And, people appreciated that. And I think a lot of people really got with it.
I'll translate that. Lo que hizo Vince Russo, que fue tan importante, dice, no fue difícil. Lo que necesitábamos era sacar a WWF de ese producto de los 70 y de los 80, de la época anterior, en donde estaban, y llevarlo al 1997. Mucha gente agradeció eso. Y esa era la clave de él. La clave del éxito de Vince fue actualizar el producto de la WWF. We have to talk about a pretty particular moment inside the WWF, and that's the Montreal Screwjob. Many people consider it a real issue. Another one, some of the people consider like a shoot angle or a shoot storyline. But what you were there, you worked that storyline. So what do you recall from that line where everything got real?
Yeah, bro, it was very, very real, regardless of what people want to think. It was very, very real. It was very serious. It wasn't fun. It wasn't fun being in the middle of that. But, you know, bro, I will always to this day defend Vince McMahon for that, because at the end of the day, I think Vince was just trying to protect his company. He was worried about, you know, Eric Bischoff talking Brett into bringing that WWE title over to WCW and just embarrassing, you know, Vince. And remember, it had just happened with Alundra Blaze, you know, Deborah Maselli, Medusa. Yeah, so, you know, Vince was really just trying to protect his company. It was nothing personal against Brett. He didn't have any vendetta towards Brett whatsoever. To me, you know, it was really just business. And I mean, I will always defend Vince for that because, like I said, I think he was trying to protect his company and I was part of the company he was protecting. So I understood fully why he decided to do what he did.
I'll translate that. Le hablo del Montreal Screwjob de aquella noche. Hay personas que piensan que es real, hay personas que piensan que es historia. Vince Russo dice que no, fue 100% real, eso fue 100% real, eso ocurrió, pero él le dio la razón a Vince porque Vince McMahon estaba tratando de proteger su producto. Tenías a un Eric Bischoff al otro lado en WCW amenazando con llevarse el campeonato de WWE y presentarle la programación, similar a como ocurrió con Alundra Blaze en el momento que el zafacón arrojó el título mundial femenino y cayó allá adentro. Pero Eric Bischoff quería hacer eso mismo y para evitar que la empresa fuese humillada o aplastada de esa manera, Vince McMahon hizo lo que hizo. After 2 years as the head writer of WWF, you surprised the world and you took the decision, you know, to take separate pathways from the WWF and decided to join the other side of the fence with WCW Nitro. So my question for you is, how did that happen? You know, you spoke with Vince McMahon previously to that. You took your decision. Who was the person who convinced you to move to the other side?
Well, it was Vince McMahon that convinced me by something just very cold and heartless that he said to me. You know, at that time, man, we were working 26 hours a day. I mean, we were working nonstop, and I really put my family on the back burner. And, you know, I had just told Vince at that time, I wanted to kind of relocate my family to where my wife's family was from. So at least my wife would be around some family, you know, in raising the kids. And, you know, Vince McMahon just looked at me and said, I don't see what the problem is. You're making enough money. Why don't you just hire a nanny to take care of your kids? And, bro, he said that to the wrong person because he told me right then and there, I don't care about you. I don't care about your family. All I care about is this company. And, bro, that's fine. That's his prerogative because it is his company. But that company was not going to be more important to me than my family. And that's when I decided to give WCW a call.
I'll translate that to Spanish. ¿Por qué motivo Vince Russo se va de WWF? ¿Qué fue lo que lo motivó? Una conversación con falta de corazón de parte de Vince McMahon. Vince Russo decía que estaban trabajando sin parar 26 horas al día, vamos a decirlo de esa manera. Eso era constantemente trabajando y tiene una reunión con Vince McMahon y él le dice, mira, estoy pensando en relocalizar a mi familia porque yo no puedo estar con ellos, no estoy nunca en casa, para que entonces mi esposa pueda criar a los niños con su familia alrededor. Y dice como que pues Vince McMahon le responde a él, bueno pues yo no sé cuál es el problema, si tú estás haciendo suficiente dinero para hacer lo que te da la gana, contrata una niñera. Y Russo obviamente lo toma como que, espérate, a ti no te importo yo, no te importa mi familia, no te importa nadie, así que no, esto no es para mí. Y le dijiste eso a la persona equivocada y Vince Russo se molesta, se va y ahí es que decide darle una llamada a WCW. So when you called WCW, who was the person responsible for bringing you in? And what was the first thing you noticed as a creative person once you entered to the backstage areas? What were the principal flaws you noticed?
Well, the person that I contacted was JJ Dillon because I had known JJ from working at the WWE. So that was my contact. My very first experience in a WCW locker room, there were two things that really stood out. Number one, I kind of felt from the start that I just had this huge target on my back. You know, there were some people within that company that wanted that spot, and now all of a sudden an outsider was coming in and taking that spot, and they didn't take well to that. And number two, I noticed it was a very, very divided locker room. You had your top stars on one side and you had the mid-card talent on the other. It was a very, very, very split locker room. Those were two very, very big differences from the WWE at the beginning.
I'll translate that. La persona responsable en traerlo es J.J. Dillon, quien ya había trabajado con él en WWF. Llega al camerino de WCW y nota varias cosas. Lo primero es que él tiene un target, una mirilla en su espalda por ser el outsider, por ser la persona de afuera que llegaba allí cuando todo el mundo quería ese trabajo. Todo el mundo quería el trabajo de Vince Russo. Y en adición a eso nota otra cosa. El camerino está sumamente dividido, contrario a como ocurría en WWF. Fast forwarding, a little bit in time, Bret Hart won the WCW Championship. We remember the Goldberg situation. Then he vacated the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. As a creative staff, or the head creative at that point for WCW, was giving the title to a person like, I don't know, UFC's Tank Abbott, an alternative at that moment? Or when Bret Hart, definitely retired from pro wrestling due to that injury, which was your first option to give the title to?
Well, bro, my idea was, because, you always hear bits and pieces. You never hear the full story. But my idea, bro, because we had no choice, Bret had to give up the title because he got hurt pretty badly, okay? And my idea was to kind of have a battle royal. And, like a Royal Rumble type match. And the winner of this would be the champion. And my idea was to have Sid, like the first one in this battle royal. And then, bro, we get all the way to the end and Sid is still standing, but bro, he's just wiped out. He's got no gas left in the tank, but he's still standing and he's still in the ring. And then all of a sudden, bro, you got a Tank Abbott, the last entrance, a UFC fighter, fresh as a daisy. And the idea was to have that huge upset because that's the story. Sid went the whole way. Here comes Tank Abbott. Sid wasn't used to a UFC guy. All of a sudden, we shocked the world. Now, from there, we will figure out, what to do. We'll see if it's working. If it's not working, we'll adjust. But that was the idea. And when you look at that idea in its context, bro, it makes perfect sense. I mean, you got a UFC fighter that was at the top of his game back then. Sid had just gone through 28 guys. And here comes Tank Abbott, fresh as a daisy. But, some of the people that did not want me there, they stooged off my idea. They buried my idea. And that's when WCW came to me and said, we want to go in a different direction. And I said, you know what? I'm really not interested in your new direction. You hired me to be head of creative. If you want me to be part of a team, that's not going to happen. That's not what I came here for. I said, so I'll go home. You can continue to pay me and you just let me know what you want to do.
I'll translate that to Spanish. La idea era que cuando Bret Hart quedó lesionado, que tuvo la conmoción cerebral y se retiró, tenía unas alternativas. Tenías que irte con alguien fuerte. La idea de Vince Russo creativa era tener una especie de Royal Rumble, un Battle Royal, 30 personas, y que Sid fuese la persona que eliminara a los otros 28, que ya estuviera en el cuadrilátero, estuviera muerto, no pudiera con más nada, y cuando llegara el momento número 30, entra la persona que ya estaba en la UFC anteriormente, Tank Abbott, en todo su apogeo, y que Tank Abbott fuese la persona que eliminara a Sid, se convirtiera en campeón mundial peso completo, para darle ese shock al mundo, ese upset, como él menciona, porque Sid ya perdió con todos estos 29, ya la gente en algún momento dado iba a simpatizar con él, y que Tank Abbott lo eliminara. La empresa le dice que ellos quieren irse en otra dirección. Vince se molesta porque obviamente me contrataste para ser el jefe creativo, no para ser un stooge o hacer lo que te diera a ti la gana. Otras personas trataron de convencerlos y así lo hicieron. Is that a main reason why you left WCW initially in 2000?
Yeah, no, that was the reason. They basically said, we want to change. We want to change in direction. We want you to be part of a committee. And I said, well, that's not what my contract says. I didn't come here to be part of a committee. And literally, I went home. You'll always hear I was fired, this and that. No, I was never fired from any company I ever worked with. When they told me they wanted to go in this new direction, I knew what my contract said. And I knew they were in breach of my contract, and I knew they were going to have to pay me. So that's why I just said, you know what? I'm not interested in that. So I will just go home, and under my contract, you will continue to pay me. And that's exactly what happened.
I'll translate that. La primera vez que Vince Russo se marcha de WCW fue por esto mismo, porque su contrato indicaba que él iba a ser el jefe creativo, no que iba a pertenecer a un comité de creativos, o sea, él no iba a ser una persona del comité, él iba a ser la persona creativa. Posterior a esto, Vince se va a la casa y dice, bueno, mi contrato dice esto. Él dice que nunca lo han despedido de ninguna empresa contra los rumores, sino que su contrato indica una cosa y él hace valerlo, hace que se cumpla. Then, who convinced you to return after this situation, and why did you came back to WCW?
Yeah, well, I really came back because I had no choice. So, like in 3 months, the company had nosedived again after Ed Ferrara and I were building it for the 3 months when we got there. It had nosedived straight down. And, that's when I got a call from Brad Siegel. And he said, you're going to be back in charge of creative and I need you to come back. So contractually, I had to, because that's what my contract said, that I was going to be head of creative. So as soon as he said that to me, then, I had to go back to work.
Perfect. I'll translate that. Brett es quien lo llama para hacerle, obviamente tienes que regresar, tienes un contrato con ellos, pero Brett le dice, ok, te quiero de regreso como jefe creativo de mi empresa, porque eso fue lo que habíamos hablado. Entonces, todo lo que él había construido con Ed Ferrara, que fueron los dos que llegaron juntos a WCW, pues ya era el momento de continuar esa construcción. Por eso es que entonces, pues contractualmente estaba obligado a regresar siempre que se hicieran las cosas tal y como decía el contrato. I want to talk to you about a particular date, April 26, 2000. WCW Thunder, David Arquette won the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Was that your idea? And if yes, why do you thought that was the best thing to do at that moment?
Well, actually, it wasn't my idea. And I'm not putting heat on anybody because I like the idea. I supported the idea. I'm just telling you the facts, the way it took place. We had the production meeting that day, and it was never even thought about of David Arquette winning that match. It wasn't even a thought. So after the meeting broke, Tony Schiavone came up to me when everybody left, and Tony said, hey, Vince, I got a crazy idea. And I said, what is it, Tony? And he said, what if David Arquette wins the match? And that was my exact look to Tony. I said, Tony, that thought never even crossed my mind. And if it never crossed my mind, nobody would think that could ever happen. So I gathered everybody back in the room and we discussed it, and we made the decision to put the belt on David Arquette. The WWE was kicking our backside at the time because of the work Ed Ferrara and myself did. And we really needed at that time, we needed attention. We needed people to start talking about WCW again. The next day we were on the front page of USA Today with Arquette winning the title. Good, bad, or indifferent, everybody was talking about it. So from my point of view as a television writer, I know wrestling's not real. I don't believe wrestling is real. Wrestling is a television show. So to this day, I think it was the right thing to do. I would do the same thing all over again. The way the storyline played out, David Arquette wanted to have nothing to do with the title. He could not even believe he won it. That's how we played it out. It was a total fluke. He wound up pinning Eric Bischoff. It was never supposed to happen. And the minute Arquette got the title, like he wanted nothing to do with it. And we immediately took the title off of him. But that's the way it came about.
I'll translate that. La historia con David Arquette, él gana el campeonato de la WCW en abril. En un meeting creativo de WCW estaban todos juntos, tomaron la decisión a dónde van a ir. Y a Tony Schiavone es que se le ocurre la idea y le dice a Vince Russo, oye Vince, ¿qué te parece si le damos el título a David Arquette? Y Vince hace una cara como que, si no pasó por mi mente, no pasó por la mente de más nadie, que era una posibilidad. Traen a todo el mundo de vuelta, se sientan juntos, toman la decisión de que David Arquette era la persona. ¿Por qué motivo? Porque WWF les estaba ganando en aquel momento dado por el trabajo que Vince Russo y Ferrara habían hecho anteriormente en WWF. Entonces necesitaban atención, necesitaban llamar la atención de los medios. Gana David Arquette la lucha, que no lo podía ni creer, él no quería que nada que ver con el título, pero la gana contándole a Eric Bischoff, y al otro día rápido están en la portada de USA Today, rápido están en todos los medios de comunicación. Entonces, bueno, malo o indiferente, funcionó. Todo el mundo estaba hablando de eso y todo el mundo quería saber un poco más de lo de WCW. Lo que dice es que desde la perspectiva creativa de la industria, desde un programa de televisión, él hizo lo que tenía que hacer y lo volvería a hacer nuevamente. Bash at the Beach 2000 Hulk Hogan Jeff Jarrett incident. What really happened that night?
Oh gosh, it's a long story. I found out that night that Hulk Hogan did not want to follow what was written. I found out literally hours before the show.
Oh.
So I had to come up with an alternate storyline. And the alternate storyline I came up with that I pitched to Hulk was exactly what you saw on TV. That's what I laid out to Hulk, and that's what I pitched to Hulk. And he agreed to it. And that's what we did. I mean, it was it was not a shoot. He knew I was going to cut a promo. He didn't know what I was going to say. The only one who was not in on it was Jeff Jarrett. Like Jeff Jarrett was not in on it. So Jeff Jarrett really thought he was laying down. Like Jeff didn't know any of that till the next day when I told him. But everything that you saw go down, me and Hulk had discussed everything.
Perfect. I'll translate that. La noche de Bash at the Beach 2000, todos recuerdan a Jeff Jarrett acostado y Hulk Hogan diciéndole, don't do it, brother. Y Jeff Jarrett de abajo le cuentan, viene la promo después. Lo que Vince Russo dice es que ese mismo día, horas antes, él se había enterado que lo que ellos querían hacer con Hulk Hogan no quería hacerlo. Posteriormente, todo lo que se hizo, se discutió y se hizo con acuerdo de Hulk Hogan. O sea, Hogan estaba enterado de todo, de la promo y de todo. Quien único no lo sabía era Jeff Jarrett y se enteró al otro día. So I have a question for you. I mean, we love what Jeff did in WCW, TNA, and WWF. But the first person that granted him an opportunity to be at the top as a main event player was you. So what do you saw in Jeff Jarrett that you thought, okay, this is the correct answer. This is what we need as the face of the company?
Well, it wasn't really like, I never looked at Jeff Jarrett as the face of the company. I never looked at it that way. But here's a couple of things that I knew. You know, bro, you got to understand that, you know, Jeff's family has been in the wrestling business for generations and generations and generations. Jeff knew the wrestling business like the back of his hand. Jeff was a great worker. Jeff knew how to be a heel. Jeff knew how to get people over, you know, baby faces over. But bro, perhaps the most important thing was, bro, Jeff never got hurt ever. No matter how Jeff was that good of a worker that he never got hurt. So at that time, bro, with the injuries that were going on and all that stuff, I needed somebody who was going to be dependable. I needed somebody that I knew was not going to be hurt in 3 months. I needed somebody who I knew could get other people over. You know, Jeff has always been a tremendous heel. So like at the time, bro, I really needed consistency. I just really needed somebody that I could depend on. And I knew Jeff was that guy, but I don't think I at any point ever looked at him as the face of the company.
I'll translate that. Vince Russo no veía a Jeff Jarrett como la cara de la empresa, pero sí lo veía como alguien en quien podía confiar, sí lo veía como alguien en quien podía, ok, esta es la persona que voy a darle el título máximo cuando todo el mundo estuvo lastimado. Jeff no se lesionaba, la familia de Jeff lleva generaciones y generaciones dentro de la industria, conoce la industria como la palma de su mano, y él era la persona en donde tú podías poner el título y, ok, sabías que no se iba a lastimar en 3 meses porque era así de bueno como trabajador. No era tal vez la cara de la empresa, pero sí era lo que WCW y Vince Russo necesitaban en aquel momento. You know, there are a lot of reports of what he made or he didn't made, but Hulk Hogan definitely made a huge quantity of money working with WCW. Was having his salary at any point a problem for the company?
Well, bro, that's where it ran into a problem with me. Because here's what happened. Bro, Bash at the Beach took place. And the last thing I said to Hulk was, bro, once TV is over, I will call you in Tampa and we will talk about where we go from here. Okay. And I really meant that, bro. I had every intention of calling Hulk to figure out where we go with his character. So what happened, bro, was after TV, I went back to the office and Brad Siegel called me in his office. And he asked me what happened at Bash at the Beach. I explained everything to him. So Brad said to me, how did you leave it with Hulk? And I said to Brad, I'm supposed to call him so we could talk about creative and going forward. And Brad Siegel said to me, Vince, don't call Hulk. I can't afford to put him on the show. So that's where I made a mistake because Brad Siegel was the head of TNT and TBS. He told me not to call Hulk. I didn't call Hulk when I told Hulk that I would, but I didn't because of Brad Siegel. And that's when Hulk really got pissed off and sued me for defamation of character, thinking that, you know, I lied to him when, you know, no, bro, I had every intention of calling him, but because of money, Brad Siegel said, I can't afford to put him on the show anymore.
I'll translate that. Le pregunto si el salario de Hulk Hogan en un punto fue un problema. Lo fue. Después de lo de Bash at the Beach, Vince Russo, el último que él dice a Hulk es, mira, vete a tu casa en Tampa, yo te voy a llamar y vamos a ir en adelante a hablar de dónde vamos a partir creativamente. Brad lo llama a él y le dice, ok, ¿por qué enviaste a Hulk a la casa? Para entonces poder hablar con él. No lo llames. No lo llames. No puedo pagar o no puedo costear lo que cuesta Hulk en el programa de televisión. Entonces Vince Russo se queda como que, pero yo le dije que yo le iba a llamar. Y ahí es que ocurre el problema en donde pues el jefe de TNT y de TBS le dice, no lo llames, no puedo pagar lo que valen sus servicios. Y Vince le hizo caso, él dice que él siempre tuvo la intención de llamarlo, siempre estuvo en planes, pero cuando su jefe le dijo que no, fue no. Y ahí entonces Hogan se molestó, lo demanda a Russo por difamación y por la situación que hubo con el personaje. Y el resto pues es historia. How did you ended up winning the WCW World Heavyweight Championship? Like, was it your idea? Was it someone else's idea? Did it work at that moment?
Well, you know, again, bro, everybody rewrites history because it's been so long. Everybody seems to forget the facts. Okay, bro, you have to remember that at the time with Thunder and Nitro and pay-per-views, bro, we're writing 116 shows a year. And bro, I was a guy that I didn't want to keep repeating stuff. I didn't want to keep doing things that wrestling fans saw over and over and over again. Bro, perfect scenario was this Monday's Raw. Bro, how many times in wrestling has there been a bounty on somebody's head? I didn't want to do stuff that the wrestling fans saw a million times. So I was always trying to think outside the box. And also, bro, when you think outside the box, all of a sudden it opens up the creative envelope to new roads that you can go down that weren't open before. So, you know, my idea, bro, was again, as a fluke, Goldberg spears me through the cage, almost kills me, but by a technicality, I'm out of the cage first. But bro, here's the part of the story the people don't remember. This happened on Monday Nitro. Bro, on the following Thunder, I don't even remember if it was Tuesday or Thursday. I don't know when Thunder aired, but we had Nitro. The very following Thunder, I relinquished the belt. Bro, I had the belt in my presence for maybe 2 or 3 days. And as soon as we had the next TV show, I relinquished the belt. It's not, bro, I didn't have a run with the WCW title. The story was Goldberg almost killed me, but because of a fluke, I got out of the cage first. But as soon as I won it, I mean, being a heel character, I said, you know, I have nothing else to prove. I proved to the world. I beat Booker clean in the middle of the ring, 1, 2, 3, you know, and I relinquished the belt. So, bro, you've got people talking about something literally 20 years after the fact when I think I had that belt for about 2 days.
I'll translate that to Spanish. Vince Russo menciona que en aquel momento estaban escribiendo 116 programas por año porque tenías Nitro y tenías Thunder. Eran 2 programas, 116 programas al año, y él no le gustaba repetir ideas, como lo que pasó en Raw hace unas semanas con lo del Bounty Hunter. Es como que cuántas veces ya ha pasado eso, siempre se ha hecho. Él no le gustaba eso, y la historia de que él gana el campeonato de la WCW era Goldberg lo mató, le dio una paliza, lo destruyó, le hace el spear, y por el spear que le hizo salió fuera de la jaula, y por una technicalidad o por algo técnico, Vince Russo es campeón. Pero lo que la gente se olvida es que como 2 o 3 días después, él entregó el título, y como obviamente un personaje rudo les dice, yo derroté a Booker T limpio en el centro del cuadrilátero, gané el campeonato, no tengo nada más que probar, y lo entrega de esa manera. Pero siempre la historia era como que hacer algo shocking, hacer algo distinto. 2001 was a rough year for everyone in WCW. How did you knew that the company was being bought by Vince McMahon for the quantity of money he bought it?
Well, bro, to be honest with you, I had suffered multiple concussions, and I was going to work every week, still doing the best that I could do, but I was just not right. I mean, my head was just not right, but I was very committed to what I was doing. But then, bro, what it turned into was every time you went to a TV taping, all everybody was talking about was who's buying WCW. Like nobody even cared about the product anymore. So when that started happening, I said to myself, bro, I've got post-concussion syndrome. I'm trying to stick this thing out. I'm coming to work every week, but nobody cares. Like all they're worried about is, who we're being sold to. So at that point, I was seeing a neurologist like every week. And the neurologist said to me with the multiple concussions, he goes, bro, you should not be doing anything that's stressful at this point. You really shouldn't. And we didn't know all the things about concussions back then that we know now. But he told me back then, you can't get stressed out. It's not good. So at that point, I decided to, there was a significant point in Nitro where I took the keys to my office and I gave them to Mike Sanders because I knew that was my last TV. When I went home, honestly, I didn't care if the company got sold. I didn't care who was buying it. Bro, I'll tell you what I cared about, to be honest with you. The only thing I cared about is my check better be in the mail every 2 weeks. That was the only thing I cared about. I had no idea Vince was interested in buying the company. I never watched that show. I was at that point, I couldn't care less about wrestling. I mean, I was more concerned about my health. I felt I was really, really screwed over at WCW. So like I said, I wasn't paying attention to it. I didn't care who bought it. I never watched that show to this day. And they paid me out for my entire contract.
Translate that to Spanish. Cuando WCW es vendida a WWF, lo que a mí se recuerda es que él tenía varias conmociones cerebrales, varias, no una, varias, producto del trabajo que había hecho, y aún así iba a trabajar, aún así iba con el mejor de los ánimos, aún así iba a dar lo mejor que tenía, pero cuando llega el camerino, se topa con que todo el mundo está preguntándose quién nos va a comprar, quién va a comprar WCW, y eso era lo único que hablaban, eso era lo único que le importaban, y era como que yo estoy aquí viendo un neurólogo todas las semanas, con conmociones cerebrales, todo fastidiado, dispuesto a dar el 100 con mi salud en riesgo, y nadie le importa, nadie le importaba. Entonces lo que él decide es agarrar sus llaves, se las entrega a Mike Sanders, las toma, y ya ese fue su último día. No, al día de hoy, él no ha visto ese último episodio. 20 años después, se va a su casa, se queda tranquilo, y lo único que le importaba era, yo espero que mi cheque llegue cada 2 semanas, como habíamos acordado por mi contrato. Y efectivamente, así lo hicieron porque la frustración de todo el mundo y su salud ya no permitían que pudiera hacer nada más. Él no sabía que iba a ser vendida a Vince, él no sabía quién le iba a comprar, no sabía nada, simplemente lo que quería era recuperarse. When the company was sold to WCW, your contract was, I believe, absorbed by WWF. Why did you decide not to work for them? Was it your health issue?
No, they never contacted me to work for them. They never contacted me. I continued to get paid until my contract was up. And then once my contract was up, that was it. I never, during that time, bro, it was only, man, I don't know how long it was between the time they bought it out and my contract expired. It wasn't a long time, but during that time, nobody from the WWE ever contacted me.
I'll translate that. Cuando la empresa es comprada por WWF, nadie contactó a Vince Russo, pero le seguían pagando. Era un salario alto y le seguían pagando cada 2 semanas, como habían acordado, pero nadie se molestó en contactarlo. Few months later, well, technically a year later, you joined TNA, Jeff Jarrett's and Jerry Jarrett's version of the initial TNA. So why do you decide to sign with them?
Well, at the time, I almost went back to the WWE at that time, and things didn't really work out. So then they wanted me to be a consultant, but Jeff was starting up TNA. And, I remember he said to me, he goes, Vince, I really need you to write our TV show. And, quite frankly, I, called Stephanie McMahon. I said, I'm not going to consult anymore. Bro, I'll be honest with you. I just wanted to help out a friend. This was going to be a big endeavor for Jeff. He was taking on a lot. And when he basically said to me, I need your help, I just wanted to help a friend.
I'll translate that to Spanish. Cuando ocurre TNA, Vince Russo estaba trabajando como un consultor para WWE y ellos querían ya firmarlo. Jeff Jarrett estaba comenzando TNA con su papá, con Jerry, y le dice Jeff, mira, yo quiero que tú seas la persona que escriba nuestros programas de televisión a Vince Russo. Vince decide, ok, quiero ayudar a mi amigo, o sea, yo voy a estar ahí para mi amigo. Llama a Stephanie y le dice, ya no puedo hacer el trabajo de consultor para ustedes en WWF, entonces cierra ese ciclo y comienza con TNA. Seeing Hogan and Bischoff after, I feel like a year or something, after that toxic environment you faced on WCW, what was the first thing that went through your mind?
Nah, bro, that was tough, man. I mean, that was really, really tough. And, bro, it's, Dixie was negotiating with them. She never smartened me up to it. I had no idea. And the next thing we know, she tells me we hired Bischoff and Hogan. And, my knee-jerk thought was, Dixie, I couldn't work well with Eric once. Why do you think I'm going to be able to work with him now? Bro, I'm not going to get into personalities, but Eric and I are just two very different people. And bro, you can't expect two very different people to work together as a as a unit and be on the same page. And I just knew with my experience with Eric at WCW, I just knew this is just going to be a disaster. We can't work together. It's nobody's fault. We're just two different people. So like, I really knew, to be honest with you, when Hogan and Bischoff came into TNA, I knew it was the beginning of the end for me. I just didn't know how long, but I knew we were not going to be able to coexist.
I'll translate that to Spanish. Cuando ocurre, Dixie Carter compra la compañía, decide traer a Hogan y a Bischoff y él dice como que, pero ¿por qué vas a traer a Bischoff si nunca pudimos coexistir anteriormente? No tiene sentido. Lo traen de todas formas y lo que él sabía ya cuando eso ocurrió fue, ok, ya este es el principio del fin. Lo que no sé es cuándo voy a acabar con ellos porque simplemente no funcionó antes, ni va a funcionar ahora. Y bueno, sabemos el resultado de eso. After you left TNA, you signed with Aro Lucha for a while as a consultant. But besides that, we haven't seen anything publicly. We know many people work as a consultant for many wrestling companies. Hugo Savinovich has done it, as well as many other people. So have you ever been contacted by WWE or AEW during the last years?
I have not been contacted by WWE or AEW, but I will tell you, I do some consulting. I won't say who I do consulting for, but I have not been contacted by WWE or AEW, but I still do some consulting. I'll be honest with you. That's the only reason I watch Raw. I mean, I literally get paid to watch Raw and give my thoughts on Raw. If I was not getting paid to do that, I would not be watching any wrestling today. It is not enjoyable to me. I don't like it. It is very hard for me to sit through, but it is part of my job. But yeah, I do some consulting, but neither of those companies ever contacted me.
Perfect. I'll translate that. Posterior a su salida de TNA, ninguna empresa, ni WWE ni AEW, por lo menos de esas dos, nadie la ha contactado, pero sí está trabajando como consultor para otra empresa. Sí está trabajando como consultor, lo pagan por ver Raw, por darle su opinión y trabajar todo eso, pero si no fuese por eso, él no estaría viendo lucha libre actualmente. No le gusta el producto, no le gusta lo que representa, pero sí está trabajando para alguien en estos momentos como consultor de empresa. This is going to be highly probable, like the toughest question of the interview. What are your thoughts on AEW's current product, logistic, and booking?
Bro, listen, I'll be honest with you. I am not a fan of AEW at all. Bro, I watched AEW for about the first 15 months because I was reviewing the show for russosbrand.com. But bro, it became such a chore for me. I was like, I can't watch this show anymore. So I like to make things perfectly clear. This show is not for me. To me, this is not professional wrestling. This is not what I grew up on. Now, bro, there are some people that love that. There are some people that love that style, and good for you. I mean, bro, enjoy the show. Watch the show. I would never tell anybody, oh, bro, don't watch AEW because I don't like it. Bro, if you like AEW, watch the show. I don't like AEW. And I think the problem is, bro, they're writing for an audience that they already have. The key is getting the casual audience to tune into your show. That's how you grow the numbers, bro. Bro, the hardcore fans are going to watch the show no matter what. You've got to go outside of the box and you got to figure out, how do we get television viewers to watch this show? How do we get non-wrestling fans to watch this show? But, you know, bro, every week they're catering to, 750,000 people. And if you continue to just cater to them, you're not going to get any new viewers.
I'll translate that to Spanish. ¿Qué opina Vince Russo del producto de AEW? No le gusta. Vio el producto por 15 meses para review de su propia marca y pues, se convirtió en una tarea. No le gusta. Para él eso no es lucha libre profesional. Ya él tiene el hardcore fan, que es una observación que le hace muy cierta. Ya lo tienen ahí, no se va a ir. Ahora tienes que trabajar para conseguir el fanático casual, cosa que no están haciendo. Entonces están escribiendo el show para la gente que ya tienen, sin pensar como que en expandir sus horizontes. I also want to say something else in Spanish. Vince Russo está disponible para todos ustedes en Twitter como @TheVinceRusso, Twitter @TheVinceRusso. También lo pueden conseguir en su website russosbrand.com, patreon.com/RussoTWC, patreon.com/RussoTWC. Y de igual manera puedes conseguirlo en Twitch. Está disponible en vivo bastante frecuente. Twitch.tv/VinceRussoLive. Twitch.tv/VinceRussoLive. Y su canal de YouTube lo pueden conseguir también como Vince Russo Brand en YouTube. De igual manera el realmpremium.com. This is going to appear at the end in an artwork as well, and it's going to be down here during the whole interview. So thanks to Jacobo, he's the main editor for that. How did the Vince Russo brand started? When you decided it was the moment to create your own product?
Yeah, bro, I left TNA at the very beginning of 2012. And bro, I could be, to be honest with you, when I left the WWE late 1999. And bro, from like 2000 to 2012, it really wasn't fun for me. I mean, it was really just a job. And then, 2012, bro, I just couldn't do it anymore. And I knew I do not want to get back into mainstream wrestling. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done with it. And, I'm a guy that, listen, man, I like to be my own boss. I like to either succeed or fail on my merits. Bro, there's a lot of politics in wrestling, and a lot is out of your control. I want to control my future. I want to control my destiny. The only way you do that is if you're in charge. And that's when I decided, bro, we've been doing this now for 7 years. In 2014, russosbrand.com started, and I've been podcasting for the last 7 years. I've got 2 podcasting networks. I've got 15 people on payroll, a lot of former wrestlers that I pay to do shows on my platform. And bro, I'll be honest with you, this right now is the best job I've ever had. I don't have to deal with the politics, the backstabbing, the individuals. It's just great being able to work for yourself with people that I really, really enjoy working with.
I'll translate that. Cuando él se va de WWF en el 99, ya del 2000 al 2012, estar en la lucha libre fue un trabajo para él. Trabajo, ya no lo disfrutaba. Cuando se va de TNA, él sabe que él no quiere volver a trabajar como para otra empresa de lucha libre de manera fija. Entonces, él decide crear en el 2014 Vince Russo Brand. Aquí entonces nace este proyecto en donde él siempre ha disfrutado de ser su propio jefe. Él es su propio jefe, él tiene su plataforma, tienen 2 podcasts ya en cadena y adicional a eso tiene muchos luchadores también dentro del producto. Tiene 15 personas que les está pagando para ser parte de esta cadena de Vince Russo Brand, y así es que nace este proyecto lleno de pasión en donde él sabía que esto era él lo que quería hacer por el resto de su vida. You have some people in that group that results be like, it is interesting to me seeing people like Vito or Stevie Ray or many other people that are working for you there, and you enjoy working with them as well. So what does a wrestler or as a podcaster, like, what do you look for in your product? What do you want to offer the audience in general?
More than anything, bro, the truth. The truth. Because what you have a lot in podcasting is, with host of shows and also guest of shows, bro, you got a lot of people that are still looking to get back in the business. So they're not going to be honest. They're going to sugarcoat things. They're going to kiss backside because they're looking for that one more run. I won't have that at russosbrand.com. I'm not looking to work for anybody else. And I make sure all my podcasters know that if you're not going to be 100% brutally honest, you're not going to be on the network. So that's what that's what I expect more than anything else. 100% honesty. You don't get that with a lot of podcasts.
I'll translate that to Spanish. ¿Qué necesita alguien para unirse al Vince Russo brand y qué le ofrece al público? La verdad, the truth, la verdad, algo real. Que no quiere personas en su equipo que estén besando trasero para obtener una segunda o tercera corrida con alguna empresa. Él no le interesa volver a ninguna empresa. Él simplemente quiere ofrecerle a la gente la verdad. Así que para ustedes unirse a esto, pueden ir directamente a sus redes sociales. Como les dije, Vince Russo Brand en YouTube lo pueden escuchar, pero patreon.com/Russo TWC es la alternativa correcta para suscribirte a los diferentes programas que tiene Vince Russo en su marca. Before we go to our last question, I wanted to thank you. It is an honor for us to have you here as our guest. Last but not least, Vince Russo inside the pro wrestling industry is someone that it's always been noticed. You either hate him or love him, but you always know he's there. So what do you think is the key behind your success inside the industry to always be relevant?
Bro, I'll tell you this, and I'll tell anybody this. Bro, nobody worked harder than I did. Period. End of story. Nobody. I gave every company I ever worked with, I gave my all. Everything I had in me, I gave. Every show I ever wrote, I wrote the best show I possibly could. Bro, nobody worked harder than me. I did not come across anybody that worked harder than me. And bro, that's all that matters to me, because it doesn't matter to me. All that matters to me is I'm able to look in the mirror at the end of the day and know I did the best I absolutely could. You know, bro, to me, it's all about glorifying God. And God gave me life. And it is very, very important to me to always be the absolute best that I can be. And I know, you know, whether you hate me or love me, whatever floats your boat, I worked as hard as I possibly could, and I did everything I could possibly could. And that's why, bro, I look back, I don't have any regrets. I put it all out there. I did the best I could. And, you know, that's all that really matters to me.
I'll translate that to Spanish. ¿Cuál fue la clave detrás del éxito de Vince Russo dentro de la industria de la lucha libre? Nadie trabajaba más fuerte que él. Llegaba siempre a dar su máximo. Él dice que la vida es como tal es para glorificar a Dios, y Dios le dio la oportunidad en la vida y le dio la oportunidad de estar ahí. Entonces, como él le dio la vida, él tenía que entonces dar el máximo siempre para agradar a Dios. Y es algo bien interesante en su visión, porque siempre buscaba dar, aún con conmociones cerebrales, aún en su peor estado, siempre buscaba dar el éxito. Así que ámenlo, odienlo. Definitivamente tenemos que respetar a Vince Russo. Mr. Russo, as mentioned before, it is an honor for us to have you as our guest. Always wishing you success in your career and in your personal life. And let's hope to see more of the Vince Russo brand spitting out some truth for the pro wrestling industry.
Well, I really appreciate it, Michael. It was a great interview. I'm glad you invited me on and had me on. And, you know, anything I could do for you, man, just let me know. I'm always around podcasting, man.
Thank you so much. Y a todo el mundo, sigan pendientes a Vince Russo Brand y a Lucha Libre Online para más información. Este ha sido Michael Morales Torres y Vince Russo para Lucha Libre Online, la marca número 1 de Pro Wrestling y Combat Sports en español.